Hey knitters, welcome back to Rena Knits. Keep watching as we learn how to use straight needles to make very simple socks. Using straight needles to make socks is not very complicated. It's quite easy. There's only a few stitches to worry about 18, and you keep a design that is very simple. The only time where you have to worry about decreasing stitches or picking up stitches is at the heel and at the toes where the bottom meets the top portion of the sock. To start off, what you would do is cast on 18 stitches. Once you've casted on 18 stitches, what you're going to do now is do a rib design. So you're going to do a 2-2 rib design. So 2 purls, 2 knits, 2 purls, 2 knits all the way through. So row 1 is going to be 2K, 2 knits, 2 purls all the way through. Now in order to maintain the rib, the reverse or the wrong side would be just the opposite of what you did on the right side. So now you're going to have 2 purls, 2 knits all the way through. So we're basically creating a border. So you will continue doing the same 2 rows for the next 6 rows. Once you've done the 6 rows, you now have your rib patterned border. What you would now do is for the next 14 rows, you would do the stockinette stitch. So basically the right side you would do is all knit, and then on the wrong side or the back side you would do all purl, and you would continue this for 14 rows. So in total by the end you would have 8 rows that are of the border rib pattern, and then another 14 that are the stockinette pattern. So a total of 22 rows. Once you've knitted your 14 rows of stockinette pattern, you will now start working on the heel. So The next row would be knit 1, slip 1 over, knit 1, then pass the slip 1 over the knitted stitch, then knit 12, knit 2 together, and then last stitch you knit. The row on the wrong side is all purl. This row is K1 together, and repeat the slip knit. So slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip knit on top of the knitted stitch, and then knit 10, then knit 2 together, and knit 1. Again, on the wrong side, it will be all purl. The next row, same thing, knit 1, slip 1 over, knit 1, slip the slipped knit on top of the knitted stitch, then knit 8. Knit 2 together, knit 1. Then on the wrong side, you would purl all. Now at this juncture, what you're going to do is start picking up the stitch. So what you're going to do is look at one below. So we're going to do that. Going to in between and pick up that way. So that when you're here, you're going to just knit all the way through to the end. Then at the end, we're going to pick up another stitch. So we're going to go just one below right here. And pick up that way. The wrong side, we're going to do all purl. Next row, again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pick up a stitch. go. We are going to knit. So all the way through, and then at the end we're going to pick up another stitch. The wrong side, we're going to do all purl. Again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pick up a stitch, and then we're going to knit through. And at the end, we're going to pick up another stitch. So I'm going just down one. The back side again will be all purl. At this point, you will now do the stockinette pattern for the length of your foot. So what you could do is take an existing sock of yours and then start knitting the stockinette pattern. So the right side would be all knit, the wrong side would be all purl to the length of your foot. So I've done the foot of I've knitted the stockinette pattern for the foot, for my foot. So I've knitted about 45 rows. A good way of checking this out is taking a sock and measuring based off of that. So this is the heel part. So what you would do is you would just reach from there and then go up accordingly and see where it ends. Another way to also check is by just placing this at the heel of your foot and checking where it is. So that way you'd have a good idea of how much you need to knit in order to get the foot right. Now we'll be working on the top portion. We'll be working the top portion of the sock. So we're going to do the same as we did for the heel. We're going to knit one. We're going to slip one. We're going to knit one more. And then we're going to take the slip, knit, move it out. We're going to knit 12. We're going to knit 2 together, and then we're going to knit the last stitch. The back side will be all purl. We will again repeat the pattern. We're going to knit 1, slip 1, knit another, then take the slip stitch, put it over the knit stitch, and then we're going to knit till we have 3 remaining. We're going to knit 2 together, and then we're going to knit 1. The back side again is going to be all purl. You will do that one more time, where you will knit 1 and slip 1, and then knit 2 together at the end with 1 knit, and then you will finish off purling on the other side. Now you will start picking up stitches again. We're going to start from the back side. You're going to go in here and we're going to knit till the end. And here we're going to pick up a stitch as well. Then the reverse, we're going to do all purl. And again, we're going to pick up another stitch. We're going to knit all the way till the end and then pick up a stitch. And stitch. And we're going to purl the back side. You would do one more row where you would pick up stitches on both sides, and then the back side you would do all purl. We've done the front portion, so now we're going to do is knit the stockinette pattern all the way to the heel one more time. The number of rows you knitted the first time around to make the foot is the same number of rows you would knit to make the front portion of the foot. So you would now just do is the stockinette pattern till you get to the heel. So you could keep measure as you keep moving forward. So knit the stockinette pattern till you reach the heel. So I'm gonna knit 45 rows, as I had knit 45 rows getting in to get to my heel. As you start knitting the top portion of your sock, so you would keep knitting till you get to the rib of your sock. And once you get to the rib, you would change your design. You would change your knitting pattern to make it equivalent to the rib. So you would start knitting 2, purling 2, knitting 2, purling 2 for the remaining 6 rows, so that it matches the back side. Of your sock. And once you have that, we will do is leave extra bit of yarn so that we could stitch the sides together, and we would stitch from the wrong side, from the back side. Once you finish up the number of rows to get to the rib, so the stockinette pattern to get to the rib, you would then do is the rib pattern, knit 2, purl 2 on the right side, and purl 2, knit 2 on the wrong side for 6 rows. You would then finish off by binding off the last row, and I usually just slip one over as I'm knitting through, and I try to maintain the pattern, the rib pattern, and then just slip one over. For this last stitch, what I'm gonna now do is leave about 4 inches of yarn. I could use that to start stitching this together. Then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna flip my sock over, align it up with the border. I'm going to take my yarn needle, so it's a lot thicker needle that works through the yarn. And I'm going to start running it through my stitches. And you want to make sure you go through pretty much every stitch, or at least every other stitch, so that there's no holes or gaps when you wear your socks. And you would keep doing this till the end. And at the end, what you're going to do is just weave the yarn through the stockinette pattern through the sock, and then knot it. And you're going to do the same on the opposite side. With the opposite side, what you could do is the extra yarn, you could tie the yarn to this and then start knitting it through, so that way then it's locked from both sides, and the chances of it unwinding decrease big time. So keep going through each till you get to the end, till you get to the bottom of your sock. Now once you've reached the bottom, or where the toes meet for the sock, what I'm going to do here is just weave it through one and then knot it, and then weave it a few times around. You want to make sure the extra yarn blends in, but at the same time you want to give it a few knots so that the chance of the yarn coming out disappear. And then you just cut the extra bit. So you would do the same on the opposite side, and then flip this around, and here you have yourself your socks. Now, a few tips you could do is make this part and the border bigger, depending on your preference. I hope you liked this video. If yes, definitely don't forget to click that like button. And if you're new, welcome. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Until next time, relax, enjoy, and keep knitting.